Images of the giant tent facility were released with Customs and Border Protection proclaiming this is going to provide ample areas for eating, sleeping, and personal hygiene. But just 3 weeks after opening the facility, they're at 729% of capacity. Children being held there reportedly going hungry, sleeping on the floor, showering maybe once per week, they tell us. Okay, the month of February, we had more than 100,000 people already apprehended entering the U.S. illegally. And as Eagle mentioned earlier, he said he wasn't sure which facility it was going to be in Dallas. It's actually the Kay Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center that they're opening up there in Dallas to house 3,000, maybe even more, unaccompanied minors. Looks like the Homeland Security Chief now tells us that this influx at the border in very short order is going to be something we haven't seen in more than 20 years, a 20-year high. So you've got a facility that's designed to hold 250 migrants. They're at 729% capacity. I don't reckon they're able to do that well of a job as far as things like social distancing, you think? I would say not. All right, let's try Cool Breeze. We got you this morning. Oh, it says it picked him up. Well, yeah, maybe we'll need to do a little phone reset thing here. It isn't that time. That shouldn't be necessary, but okay, it looks like, yeah, we'll do that. We'll close things out. Give us a ring back up here in just a couple of moments, and we'll get back online with our calls. All right, it's 844-844-3388. I'll try to get it done here in like 60 seconds. What do you say? And we'll return. The Steve Sommers Overnight Drive live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
ultra-low sulfur fuels.
The primary function of diesel fuel is combustibility. One of the little-known aspects of fuel is its role as a lubricant to metal-on-metal moving parts. The introduction of ultra-low sulfur fuels diminishes the fuel's ability to lubricate because sulfur, which has been mostly removed, has lubricating properties. Hot Shot Secret Everyday Diesel Treatment with LX4 delivers unmatched lubricity. Third-party testing confirms that it takes 3 times the amount of leading fuel treatment to match the lubrication benefit of 1 dose of Hot Shot Secret. Everyday Diesel Treatment is a fully formulated 6-in-1 premium fuel treatment for every fill-up, every time.
Everyday Diesel Treatment is available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
All right, there you go. It appears everything should be back up and running in proper fashion. So for all those who were on hold, I know we had Knucklebuster was on the line, Cool Breeze was on the line, we had several others. I think the Blind Man was in queue there. And dial us back up at 844-844-3388. Miracles of modern technology. That's what we'll call it. About 25 past the hour. Real quick, before I get back to the calls, they're jumping back on the line here. We had... with the continued refusal of the White House and what's-her-name, Circleback Girl, the press secretary, to say what's happening along the southern border is a crisis in any form or fashion. It's just a trying time. It's a difficult situation. Senator Joe Manchin he's become the first prominent Democrat to say, no, this is a crisis. He was actually on CNN. This is kind of a major break with the rest of the party. They've all been sticking together. No, it's not a crisis. The Democrat from West Virginia, Manchin, tells CNN that this is a crisis. And he's waiting to be briefed by the Biden administration before he comments on their response to the situation. But Whatever message was sent, it was sure interpreted the wrong way. The message he's speaking of is that from President Biden. It's a crisis. Oh, it's a crisis. When the Biden administration announced their immigration bill last month, that White House officials described as an opportunity to reset and restart conversations on immigration reform. That legislation's on the president's vision of what it takes to fix the system. Now, meanwhile, Dick Durbin said there's not enough support in Congress for any sort of a full immigration plan. All this talk about a pathway to citizenship that Biden promised for the 11 millions that are here right now. And is it just me, or do you think is it kind of ironic? Guess I was supposed to turn that back on. Is it kind of ironic that for the last, how many years have they been telling us there's like 11 million illegals in the country? If it's been 11 million since, say, 2015, that would mean no new illegals have been coming in. You can't use the same number year after year after. The numbers are growing. Hell, we've been seeing 1 million per year in recent years. But back to Dick Durbin. As far as passing any sort of a pathway to citizenship, even for the dreamers, the 5 million supposed dreamers in the country, brought into the country when they were children to no fault of their own, they're going to have to get 60 votes. You can't pass immigration reform with that simple majority in the Senate. They're not going to have the Republican votes. He said Nancy Pelosi, quote, has discovered she doesn't have support for the comprehensive bill, even in the House. And she very well knows it's not there in the Senate. Once the House passes these two pieces of legislation that deal with some specific immigration policies, the pathway to citizenship for the dreamers, they're going to have to sit down. We will have to sit down with our colleagues to see if we can find any sort of a bipartisan consensus to move these two pieces of legislation as maybe a starting point. I'd like to find a permanent solution. But John Cornyn, the Republican out of Texas, he said, the problem is every time we try to meet with the Democrats and we try to meet them halfway, they move the goalposts. And he went on talking about the border right now. Unless there's some way to bring some control and order to that situation, it makes it very hard to do other things on any sort of a bipartisan basis. You really want Republicans right now to come and try to sit down and talk about legalizing millions or tens of millions that are here right now while you're failing to address the hundreds of thousands that are right now making their way across the border. Come on. If you're going to be Joe Biden, if you're going to reverse Trump's policies, I like this quote. If you're going to reverse Trump's policies, what's your plan? Well, they didn't have a plan other than to say, don't come now. When all the other signals was, come on in. If you can get here, you're going to stay. The signals that were sent have been received, and that's the only thing that's a word that's spreading like wildfire throughout Mexico, Central America, and even elsewhere around the world. It's 844-844-3388, the Steve Sommers Overnight Drive live from the Hotshot Secret Studios.
USA Radio News with Dan Naraki.
8 people are dead after a string of shootings at 3 metro Atlanta spas. Police say 4 people died in a shooting at a spa near Ackworth, Georgia. Then an hour later, 2 more shootings occurred in Atlanta, across the street from each other, where 4 more people were found dead. Police arrested a suspect 3 hours later about 150 miles south of Atlanta. They say they believe the man they have in custody, 21-year-old Robert Aaron Long of Woodstock, Georgia, carried out all 3 attacks. And Texas residents will be off the hook for $29 million in electric bills from the February winter storms that knocked out power to millions. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton said that as part of the bankruptcy plan of electricity provider Griddy, about 24,000 customers are being released from more than $29 million in unpaid bills. Thousands of customers were hit with huge power bills during the storm because of the provider's variable rate plans. Griddy filed for bankruptcy on Monday. This is USA Radio News.
Got an old car? You can donate it, whether it's running or not, to the United Breast Cancer Foundation and save a life. They'll even come and pick it up for free. The United Breast Cancer Foundation has saved hundreds of women's lives through their free or low-cost breast screen exams. But now they need your help. The United Breast Cancer Foundation wants to save more lives through early detection by offering women free or low-cost breast screening exams. And donating your old car, SUV, or truck, whether it's running or not, helps pay for them. Plus, you get a charitable tax deduction. Help the United Breast Cancer Foundation save lives by donating your old car, SUV, or truck. Call now for free pickup. 800-280-2144. 800-280-2144. 800-280-2144. Call right now. That number again is 800-280-2144.
The Overnight Drive with Steve Sommers. Live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios. Call Steve now. 844-844-3388. That's 844-844-3388.
Attention all truckers, Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. I want to talk to you about those dreaded tax problems. I know you want to keep on trucking and not even think about them. Well, let's face it, they're not going away all on their own. You need professional help. I've been helping truckers put their tax problems in the rearview mirror for years. I can help you too. Call me for a free consultation at 888-632-4506 or go to mytaxhelpmd.com. It's like I always say, keep your eyes on the road, I'll keep mine on the IRS. 888-632-4506.
PureFlow Air Dog, your leader in fuel air separation system technology. Our systems filter out water, particulates down to 2 micron, and remove all of the air out of your diesel fuel. This allows for nothing but pure, clean diesel fuel to reach the expensive injection system equipped in your vehicle. Not only do our fuel systems protect, they also come in a variety of flow rates to meet your performance needs. Our systems are compact and use OEM-style fittings for easy installation. Learn more about our product at www.pureflowairdog.com and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Protect your investment with PureFlow Air Dog.
Drivers, you demand that your equipment's reliable and dependable, and that also applies to your headset for communication. Well, our friends at Stellar Electronic have you covered. The Pluto Duo headset bundle is the best communication headset you can find in the industry. No matter the challenging environment you're driving in, the Pluto headset will make you sound crystal clear all the time thanks to their 99% noise cancellation. And the Duo's not only a stereo converter for the headset, but also a power bank so you can charge as you go. Learn more at StellarElectronic.com or visit them on Facebook.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Ultra-low sulfur fuels.
fuel has two purposes, combustion and lubrication. Ultra-low sulfur fuels have diminished the fuel's ability to lubricate. Hot Shot Secret Everyday Diesel Treatment with LX4 restores lubricity, protects your engine, and optimizes performance.
Everyday diesel treatment is available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
And now, back to the Steve Sommers Overnight Drive, live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
All right, back up and at 'em here. I'm not sure how long. I guess we lost our Zoom meeting for a brief period. I hope we weren't down too long. I know I was trying to pick up on the calls. I couldn't get anything to pick up, so I thought, okay, phone reset. Yeah, let's double check, see if the phones are back up and running. Hello, take two with the cool breeze.
Hey, ho, Steve Areno. How we doing tonight?
Doing well. How the heck are you? How long were we down? You were on hold at some point, I guess.
It was only about, I think it was only about 10 minutes. I was on hold, and it dumped your phones first, and I realized it had dumped, and I sent you an email right away. And I was on the text thing on YouTube too. I don't know if you even look at that or not, but it was only about a little less than 10 minutes, I think.
Okay, yeah.
But then I realized the stream was no longer playing. Your stream wasn't on either.
Yeah, that's.
So I emailed you right away. Your stream isn't going, and your phones are down both. It's a double whammy. You know?
I didn't have my email up. I see you lost your stream. Red alert, red alert. So all right, well.
Yeah, that's what I put. Yep, I figured that'd get your attention. I know you look at your emails more often than looking at the YouTube
the
stream, right?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Everybody and his uncle's on there talking. I mean, I can't believe I've heard the inbred redneck. I've heard monkey gouger. I mean, welcome back, guys. Where you been? He's been back on the air for 2-3 weeks now. What the hell? You know? But I don't know what is our famous president doing about the great crisis down here at the border. I mean, yeah, he stopped. The first thing that he did, he's got to, Trump was building the wall. I'm going to stop the wall from getting built. Well, that was a solution to the issue. It was a big solution. It was a step in the right direction to the issue. When we get the wall done down there, whenever the wall gets done, which it'll probably be when a Republican gets back in to the presidential race and back in politics, right? Then we're going to attempt to try to control things that are happening down at the border. But until then, the border is wide open. It's wide open. There's spots of that border. I was born and raised down by that border, and I know how many holes are in it. There's places you can just drive across the desert, and you don't know if you're in Mexico, if you're in the United States. You don't know where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so many holes in it all the way across there. And I feel like Trump was really doing the right thing, and it was a huge step in the right direction. And it's not 11 million, Steve. It's probably closer
20
to over 30 million.
You think that, okay? I'm thinking at least 20.
Somewhere between 20 and 30 million. I'll agree with you there. But for them to keep using that, there's only 11 million in the country. Well, there's 4,000 juveniles they have in an adult facility down there on the border in El Paso that they've picked up just this week.
Yep.
4,000 juveniles that have come across unaccompanied. So what is their game plan? They're going to send the kids across and say, my kids are in the United States. I need to come in the United States. And they'll use them as an anchor kid in the United States. Is that what they're doing? I'm not sure what they're doing.
Yeah.
But they've just heard that Biden he's heading towards what do they call it? He's going to normalize all the ones that are already in the United States, and then just let the rest of them just keep coming in as long. And that's why they're wondering why there's a big rush to the border. They're coming from South America. They're coming from all the Central America countries down there, Guatemala, all the little countries down in there, and they're coming. And things are horrible down in there. I'm sure they are. I mean, think about going through this coronavirus, Steve. We just went through this coronavirus for the last year, and how bad it was on us. Think about living in a third world country where you don't even have clean running water. You don't have electricity half the time. You don't have any of the modern conveniences that we do in this country that we take for granted. And you think about dealing with corona. I mean, it's killing a lot of people worldwide, entirely.
I don't know how many of these immigrants are being tested, but the numbers I'm seeing is the ones that they are testing, like 10% of them are coming back positive, and those positives are being held here in the same facilities that are way over. If you're 700% of capacity, they're packed in like sardines. So those that are sick and those that aren't showing symptoms that maybe are contagious, the word is this is going to potentially start another whole outbreak of the damn coronavirus because they're just cutting them loose.
Absolutely.
Within 72 hours and releasing them to head to the bus station and go where you want to go. And they say when they get on a bus drivers are not allowed to, that they can't refuse them if they can't prove that they can't even ask them if they've tested positive. They can't even ask them if they got COVID.
No, it's not at the bus station. I mean, Greyhound's is a safe way to go no matter what. But and if they're housing 700 of them in one facility like that, that's a huge incubator. If 1 in 10 of them has it, they're going to transmit it to the rest of them.
I think the mentality and the word that's spreading throughout Central and Central America is if you can get your child into the United States once the Biden administration goes through this whole process of legalizing them, then typically they allow, if you've got a child here, they're going to reunite the family. So they'll actually pay a coyote or whatever, $1,500, whatever it costs to get that child across the border. And in short order, the Biden administration is going to reunite the family, their mom, their dad, maybe the grandparents with the child that made it into the United States. They're all going to get to come in. That's why there's so many, quote, unaccompanied minors.
And that's also eventually, I think Biden will be, he's not using this word yet, but I think he's going to say, oh, well, if you're in the United States, it's okay. We'll give you amnesty. You've been here for enough years. You're an American citizen now.
Sure.
Don't you think he's going to do that?
I full well believe. I mean, he's been in Mexico and Central America. He's the immigration president. That's what they're calling him.
Yep. There you go. And it's like 180 out from where Trump was. Trump was taking a step in the right direction, getting the wall up. And I don't know, no matter how many walls we're going to build down there, they're still going to tunnel underneath. They've been doing that for years. The drugs are still going to come in, especially the drug cartels and that. They'll figure out another way to get the drugs in because it's a huge market in the United States for drugs. I mean, that's something sorry to say about the United States, but there's so much rampant drugs here, and they know they got to get it across. I mean, drugs that come right across the border down there in southern Texas, New Mexico, or Arizona, or California, drugs that come across, by the time they get up into the Detroit area or Chicago and that, they're worth 20 times what they are than when they come across the border from Mexico.
Yeah.
And that's a known fact to the cartels down there. It's $1 million business. And then they catch them with thousands of dollars, $30,000, $50,000, $100,000. They're smuggling it back across the border back down to they get caught going back across with money, taking it back to the cartels down in Mexico. Either that or they're taking guns back down there to supply them. But anyway, Steve, I don't even know how many days it is till Christmas because it's St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody out there. Don't forget to wear green.
Everybody get your green beer this morning, right? Kegs and eggs. It's about 15 before the hour. Monkey Gouger is headed toward, he said he's headed toward the Texas Panhandle. Now, how's the weather looking there in the Texas Panhandle? I said, Monkey Gouger, you hadn't heard. You don't really want to be heading there right about now, but let's see. From the Weather Service office there in Albuquerque, New Mexico, the combination of snow and very strong winds will be creating very difficult travel conditions across northeast New Mexico. Right on through Wednesday morning. You've got blizzard warnings, as I said, for much of the Texas, Oklahoma Panhandle, northeast New Mexico, southeast Colorado, and even over in, I think, parts of Kansas. This powerful storm will bring moderate to heavy snow as it crosses the southern Rockies tonight. Expect snowfall amounts approaching a foot of snow between Raton Pass and Capulin. 2 to 6 inches across Union County. The combination of the snow and winds 50 to 60 miles per hour, creating blizzard or near blizzard conditions. Lighter accumulations anticipated over east central New Mexico, but strong gusty winds will be creating very difficult travel conditions. I want to flip on over because that was the Weather Service office out of Albuquerque. See if I can find one here. Here we go, out of Amarillo, Texas. You're not going to see as much snow, Monkey Gouger, but you've got the blizzard warnings that are now in effect And I guess they've extended those until 7 p.m. this evening, Wednesday evening. 1 to 4 inches for the Oklahoma Panhandle, the northwestern 2/3 of the Texas Panhandle, but winds as high as 60 miles per hour. Whiteout conditions are anticipating. They're in southeastern Colorado. That's from the Weather Service out of Pueblo, where the blizzard warning in effect until the noon hour Mountain Time today. 2 to 4 inches, winds again gusting to 60 miles per hour. Travel's going to be very difficult. So, one more stop here. That's the one out of Dodge City, Kansas, where the blizzard warning is in effect, impacting portions of southwestern Kansas. They're saying 3 to 4 inches there, winds 60 miles per hour. Plan on blowing and drifting snow, significantly reduced visibility, and it's going to be impacting the morning drive there. So, yeah, Monkey Gouger, don't you check ahead on where you're going to be delivering, where your destination's going to be? Don't you check on your weather beforehand? Okay, so where'd we leave off there? Let's get back to the calls. We've got lines available here at 844-844-3388. Would this be the blind man?
Yes, it is.
How the heck are you?
And I've been listening to you talking about Biden and his illegal aliens coming across the border. A friend of mine says Biden stands for biggest idiot Democrats ever nominated.
Oh, boy. That's good.
So run with it. I'm going to call some local talk shows today and mention that. And they're heading toward Maryland because Maryland is a sanctuary state, especially Baltimore. So it's really bad. I don't know how we're going to get past this year and most of next year. I hope the Democrats get trounced in the 2022 congressional elections.
Yeah, the midterms. Yeah.
Got to get rid of Pelosi.
Yeah, yesterday Donald Trump said, I guess he did that interview where he was, they've been pushing him to ask or to tell the Republicans that you need to get your vaccine. But in that same interview, he alluded to the fact that, are you going to run in 2024? And he kind of said some of that is going to hinge on how we do in 2022. If we can take back the House or the Senate or both, he would maybe take a serious look at possibly running in 2024. So we'll have to see here.
Yes, and I'm very, very anxious about what's going to happen because my taxes are going to go up, the whole 9 yards, and everything is going to be passed along, so everything is going to be expensive. I'm just wondering if these people that voted for Biden, I wonder if they're sorry now that they did.
I don't know if they're sorry yet, but give them some time. Some of them may already have some remorse for voting for him. But in time, they all will.
Yeah, I'm going to let you go, so you have a good rest of the day.
All right, thanks for checking in. Always good to hear from you, blind man. And, be safe. There you go. What are we looking at? We talked about the story in Georgia on last night's show, where the judge there is, looking to unseal the absentee ballots there in Fulton County, the Atlanta metro area. Yeah, Steve had shared that story. He said, well, it's essentially it's too little, too late. You should have done that. You should have been looking at these things way back when Trump was first asking them to, back in November. Well before Biden was sworn in as the next president. Well before the House and the Senate confirmed or solidified the election results. Another day has passed, and hey, too little, too late. But let me share this with you out of the state of Michigan. A Michigan judge ruling that Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson broke state law when she unilaterally issued the rules related to absentee balloting. Hey, that kind of legitimizes one of the key claims made by Trump in the challenges to the 2020 election. Benson issued several unilateral orders during the 2020 election, including sending absentee ballot applications to all registered voters. She also issued what she called guidance on how to evaluate absentee ballots. That was a move that the Michigan Court of Claims judge says violated the state's Administrative Procedures Act. The judge said, in the guidance, Benson said slight similarities in a signature on absentee ballots should lead the counter to decide in favor of finding the signature was valid. Slight similarities? The judge ruled Benson violated the law because the guidance issued by the Secretary of State in October of 2020 with respect to signature matching standards was issued in violation of the APA, the Administrative Procedures Act. I'm glad the court sees Secretary of State Benson's attempts at lawmaking for what they are, which were clear violations of her authority. State Representative Matt Hall. If she wants to make changes like these, she needs to work with the legislature or properly promulgate them through the laws that we have on the books. And in this case, it's the Administrative Procedures Act. Now, that ruling came after the Allegan County clerk sued Benson and the state director of elections over Benson's order, which Hall described as a mandatory directive requiring local election officials to apply a presumption of validity to all signatures on absentee voter ballots. How about that? So that's what the court pretty much agreed. Nowhere in this state's election law has the legislature indicated that signatures are to be presumed valid, nor did the legislature require that signatures are to be accepted so long as there are any redeeming qualities in, say, the application or the return envelope as compared to the signature on file. Policy determinations like the one at issue here, which kind of puts the thumb on the scale in favor of signature validity, should be made pursuant to properly promulgated rules. And that means you got to go through the legislature. So Benson broke the law in the state of Michigan. And did you even realize that the guidance that she issued? Well, so what that pretty much says is if I'm a counter and I've got a ballot without a signature and I could sign it, and if there's any similarity to what the signature on file looks like, you're supposed to say that's legit, that's a countable ballot. That opened up the door for potential widespread fraud. But they didn't want to investigate it. All right, let's get back to the calls here. It's 844-844-3388. Who's next up? Looks like Steve's on the line. Hello, good morning, Steve.
Hey, good morning, Steve. Yeah, that's what that Texas lawsuit was all about. You know, when they took that to the Supreme Court, there was, 17 states that had joined Texas.
Yep.
That were suing Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin for that exact reason. They broke the constitutional law of the state. They didn't go through the legislature.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were screaming it from the rooftops since November that was the problem. It was against the law what they did. And that's how he won the election. That's why he's not a legitimate president. He's not. And the Supreme Court, Steve, to me, big disappointment, and I'm sure to a lot of other people, and to President Trump, you know, especially Kavanaugh and Comey. Big disappointment. Cowards. because they didn't want BLM at their house. They didn't want Antifa on their front lawn. They didn't want protesting in the streets. Their kids harassed at school. That's what it was all about. They didn't want to get involved, and they still don't want to get involved.
Correct.
They threw out the last case. So, total disappointment. I sent you an article on Biden's DOJ number 2 pick. Her name is, she went through her hearing, I guess, last week. Name is Gupta. I think she's an Indian woman.
Yes, the woman that has, a bunch of stock or whatever ties into the cartels or something?
Yep, she's got over $11 million in stock. Her father is on the board of directors of this American company that supplied this chemical to the cartel in Mexico to manufacture China White, heroin, and methamphetamine. And after the report came out last year in 2020 on ABC News, which was a shocker, she said that she was going to break all ties with the company that her father is the chairman of the board on. And they supposedly have stopped selling the chemical to the drug cartels in Mexico. Pretty interesting, huh?
No doubt.
And here's the hypocrisy. Joe Biden said that he was going to hold responsible these drug companies for the opioid crisis. These lawsuits are starting to come out on these companies that sell chemicals to produce these opioids that are killing a lot of people. And Biden was supposedly cracking down on that, or going to crack down. And here is number 2 DOJ pick has ties to this company.
So if you're the DOJ pick, you're sure as hell not gonna investigate yourself, are you?
No, you can't do that. I mean, she's number 2 in the DOJ. No one's going to investigate her. The same with that Secretary of State in Michigan. Do you really think anything's going to happen to that woman? She broke the law. It's just amazing, incredible. But the other thing, talking about the border, Kevin McCarthy, he was down there on Monday. He talked about that. I mean, he ripped Joe Biden. I mean, he ripped him a new one. Told him to come down to the border, see what you created. Biden has, I think I sent you that Biden has no plans
intention, no plans to go to the border. Yep.
No, in the near future. And Kevin McCarthy, he basically said he thought he was going to see a human crisis. This is a human catastrophe. Heartbreaking, he called it. I mean, and now you got Joe Manchin speaking out, which is good. Hopefully they can turn that guy around, especially with the gun thing, with those bills that we're trying to put through. But that's another thing, that was sad what happened in Georgia. I'm kind of glad that they caught that guy alive, because maybe they can find out what made him snap. And that just gives these leftists more ammo, no pun intended, to try and take our guns away.
Yeah.
I mean, this kid seemed like a nerdy kid, and his dad was a pastor, and I mean, he probably was, had a background check. That's why background checks don't matter, because you can have a background check and be perfectly fine, and then all of a sudden 2-3 years later, 21, 22 years old, something happens and you snap. He obviously has some kind of mental issue, going on. I mean, I hope we can find out what the reasons were.
Yep, what caused him to snap.
But, yeah. I wanted to kind of touch on those converter dollies that I was telling you about last night with the drop trailers. We run 2 different types of dollies. One is a Jost, which is a handle that locks. It's solid steel, flat, locks in place real well, can't come out. But we've got these other ones, they're older, and the handle's kind of like a rod, and there's not really a good safety latch on there. And what happens is when there's grease and snow get packed in there, that frozen grease, the handle kind of works itself out. We had 6 guys in a matter of a week drop trailers on the highway.
Wow.
And I'm talking one guy that I work with, I know 3 personally. One guy, he drove over 150 miles before his trailer came off. So that handle does work itself out. And it's happened to a couple other guys I know. And they all kept their jobs because they had the safety inspector do tests on these dollies, and they found out that they were defective. And they still haven't gotten rid of them. I try not to use those. We still have them in our stock. Yeah, but they need to get rid of these things. And luckily, no one got hurt. The trailer dropped flat on the highway, and they just had to call a wrecker and didn't flip it or anything. But yeah, you got to be careful with those ones that just have the single rod handle. They don't hold very well. You got to make sure that grease isn't frozen in there. So.
Well,
that's pretty much all I got.
Had a lot of interesting talk about trailers being dropped last night. Well, Steve, thank you much for chiming in. We'll get our news update. Top of the hour has arrived as we make our way into a Wednesday. What is anticipated to be a very active weather day. Give you more on that ahead. The Steve Sommers Overnight Drive live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
USA Radio News with Dan Naraki.
The president says, don't come. That's the message from President Biden Tuesday as the Department of Homeland Security estimates that the number of attempted illegal crossings at the southern border will reach the highest level in more than 20 years. In an interview with ABC News, the president telling migrants not to make the journey to the border.
I can say quite clearly, don't come. And what we're in the process of getting set up, don't leave your town or city or community.
Biden also said that the current surge could be worse than the one in 2019 that prompted the Trump administration's policies to clamp down on the border. And a report from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence says that Russia and Iran attempted to influence the result of November's presidential election. The report says the Russian elements attempted to spread narratives to hurt Joe Biden's candidacy, while Iran tried to do the same to President Trump. It does say that neither country attempted to interfere with election infrastructure. This is USA Radio News.
At the American Veterinary Medical Association annual convention in Washington, D.C., I spoke with Dr. John Howe, AVMA president, about One Health.
One Health is really a collaboration between physicians and veterinarians or public health officials. For example, in Minnesota, our state public health veterinarian deals with zoonotic diseases, rabies, for example. Animals are sentinels for humans, and humans are sentinels for some infections in animals.
There's more valuable information at avma.org.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
When I first switched over, because I stopped taking the other supplements I was taking and switched over all the way to Balance of Nature, I really noticed a huge difference. It was amazing. Like better sleep, better attention, better energy. It was just really, really great.
Balance of Nature is now offering 35% off on any new preferred order. Go to balanceofnature.com today and use discount code USA.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said Tuesday that there would be no support from GOP senators for a tax increase being considered by the Biden administration. The White House is reportedly looking at the first significant tax increase in nearly 30 years, a package that's expected to include an increase in the corporate tax rate, something Representative Nancy Mace says would be horrible for American workers. The South Carolina Republican tells Fox News that the tax hike would lead to a job exodus from her state.
Well, we hear the buzzwords, right? Paying their fair share, taxing the rich. What we're going to do, I mean, who do you think pays that bill? Hardworking Americans pay that bill. That money doesn't show up out of nowhere, and that's off the backs of hardworking Americans. I look at like a state like South Carolina, where we have Boeing in South Carolina there. They bring jobs there because of our low tax rates. And what the Biden administration is going to do is they're going to see an exodus. These jobs are going to go overseas where there's a lower corporate tax rate for many companies that do business around the world. And that's not putting America or American workers first.
This is USA Radio News.
Hi, this is Dr. Joel Wallach, and I want to tell you that arthritis is not a genetic thing. It's not a disease of aging. Neither is osteoporosis. Get a hold of my book. It's all in your head. It goes into the 25 different diseases you get when you have osteoporosis of the skull. These are all reversible. You take the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, the MSM, vitamin D3, stay away from all the bad foods, including gluten, and guess what? You'll regrow all your bones, including your skull and your legs and your hips and everything else. Contact us at usaradiohealth.com. That's usaradiohealth.com.
The immigration crisis on the southern border is attracting people from all over the world, according to the House Minority Leader. Tim Berg has that story from the USA Radio News Phoenix Bureau.
The Biden administration will use a detention center in Dallas, Texas to house 3,000 illegal migrant children between the ages of 15 and 17. By the end of the year, it's estimated that 117,000 solo miners will enter the United States. House Minority Leader from California, Kevin McCarthy, and 12 of his Republican colleagues went down to the border on Monday. McCarthy saying that one of the things they're seeing is it's not just people coming from Central American countries, it's people coming in to the United States from all over the world.
Yeah, they're from Central America. But you know who else? Iran, Yemen, Sri Lanka. When I walked through the facility, there's more Haitians than any other nationality I saw. And why were they coming now? You asked the border agents, they were shocked themselves because they're being released into the country.
The brackets are set for this year's edition of the NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament, but the schedule might be a little flexible. Tournament organizers say that if BYU makes it to the Sweet 16, they will swap the days that game is played. The Cougars would play their regional semifinal game on Sunday, March 28th. However, that would violate the Mormon school's policy that prohibits competition on a Sunday. If that happens, the East would swap days with the Midwest region, meaning the East games would then take place on March 27th. BYU last made it to the Sweet 16 in 2011. For USA Radio News, I'm Dan Naraki.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Ultra-low sulfur fuels.